Girls State Basketball Tournament starting this weekend inside the Charleston Coliseum and Convention Center. Teams from across the state are going to be tipping off starting on Tuesday and lasting until Saturday. One of the 32 teams across all four classes to make it this year is the repeat champions from last season, the Class AAA state champions from last season, the Wayne Pioneers. We're pleased to be joined by the head coach of those Lady Pioneers, head coach Wade Williamson. Coach, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you. Good to be here.
Absolutely. So to start, I mean, obviously you guys have had a great season making the state tournament, as many teams were wanting to get. You guys are one of 32 teams to make it. What's been the magic sauce? What's been working for you guys well to get to this point?
Oh, I don't know. I think that part of our thing this year has been, and nobody really expected us to be here, and so we've had a little bit of an attitude or a chip on our shoulder, I think, something to prove a little bit to everybody that, we are more than just a particular group that's went through. And so we had some of that going on, and we have a really nice player, and she's been able to kind of lead everybody around pretty good. She does a good job with that. So, I think it's just a combination of things, but mostly I think it's just a matter of will to prove some people wrong, just to be, kind of that chip on our shoulder type deal.
So you mentioned proving the people wrong, but you're also having that target on your back of being a state champion from last year. Yeah. How difficult is that, trying to balance those two teams? Because they're two different concepts. But how do you go about doing that?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. That's a great question. And we do have people come in and play. I say sometimes they play. Sometimes we play people and they'd be like, "Oh, that's their best game. They played their best game today." And that comes from having the target on your back, but then there's other people that kind of have looked at us and been like, oh, this is the year we're going to get Wayne too, and so I think we've taken note of that quite a bit because that's happened some too. So I don't know that we haven't really focused on it. We've just kind of got in there and just said, let's just get better every day, and we know where we want to be at the end of the year, and let's just go see what we can do.
Mentality-wise, from your girls, from where we were the first week of the regular season to where we are now leading into the state tournament, how was that mentality stayed consistent from the first practice to where we are now in March?
I just think we had and we didn't talk about it a whole lot, but we had a goal in mind of trying to get back to the state tournament, but I think we kind of had to figure out or believe in ourselves a little bit. And not that we didn't in the beginning, but I think in some ways, we had to prove to ourselves that that we were worthy of doing this, and we could do this again, and get to the state tournament, and we've been able to kind of just stay the course, and if you coach very long, everybody knows this. You go through the ebbs and the flows, and you go through the adversity that happens within your team, and some of those things. And so, if you can just kind of manage to stay even keel in those situations, you're going to be better off in the long run.
Talking about some of the players you have, we'll talk more in depth about a few of them here in a couple of minutes, but just in regards to some of your inexperienced players meshing with your experienced players, how do you think that dynamic has worked out for you all?
They've done a really good job. I think that Jace has more experience, obviously, than anybody, or just about as much as anybody's going to be at the state tournament this year. So she's done a really good job of she's believed in these other kids too, and I think that's big, for her and for them, to see that she believes in them and what they're doing, and so that lends itself to some success right there, and I just think that's the biggest thing right there for us is her ability to lead us has been amazing, really.
And she's only a junior, so talk about that. We'll talk about her now, actually. Having a player like Jace that has so much varsity experience, being a massive part of last year's state championship team, and her kind of taking on that leadership role even more so. Right. How important, how vital has that been with this group, with her kind of taking those reins and leading this team forward?
Oh, yeah. We couldn't. You just can't replace it. She does so many things that that people don't know or don't see, and it's a lot of character issues that people don't see, and we say this around our program a little bit. Sometimes it's kind of funny, but nobody really knows how the sausage is made. And they don't, because most people don't peek behind the curtain, and they don't know what's going on in our practice or in our locker room and things like that. And she's been able to kind of keep those things stable. Not that we have problems, but just keep those things stable and keep people interested and kind of pull them forward.
In regards to now making it to the state championship game for the second consecutive season, you do have a daunting task ahead of you with Williamson Central. We'll get to that game specifically in a second. But trying to get past these teams in a very loaded Class AA field, what's it going to take for this team to potentially play on Championship Saturday?
Well, I think it's always the same for us because our size, we don't have the size we've had in the past, maybe never since I've been here, really. And so for us, it's all about rebounding the basketball. If we go and we look at our schedule and we look at our stats from our schedules, if we can rebound the basketball with the teams that are bigger than us, then we generally have a pretty good chance of winning the games. We generally win the games. And obviously, this is being any basketball doesn't make any difference. We turn the ball over less, then you have a better chance of winning. So we've done a really good job of taking care of the ball, and we've done a pretty good job on the rebounding end of the deal. And I think that's the most important thing we've got to do for ourselves.
I mentioned your first opponent, Williamson Central Catholic, who actually made the Class AA state tournament a season ago and lost to Charleston Catholic. What stands out to you, and what's it going to take for this team to kind of get past the Maroon Knights and get to the next round?
Well, they're old. They're senior. I think they start 4 out of 5 seniors, and they're very experienced, and you could tell that they are, and they're strong kids. That's the one thing that kind of I look at them and say they're really strong kids, and they have very good skill-wise. So we're going to have to do a really good job of recognizing, their shooters and recognizing the things that they do well and try to take away some of those things. And again, we've got to take care of the ball. They're a pressing team, and they're an extended zone team. For the most part, I don't know, they'll play man. They'll be very multiple too, but that's the things they like to do. So we have to take care of the ball and kind of hit open spots, and it's going to make us play a little bit different than we play most of the year because most of the teams in the southern part of the state play a lot of man. So it's just something that's a little bit different for us.
In regards to that now, in regards to yourself, do you guys change up anything leading into a state tournament, maybe do something different or new and trying to throw something new in there to kind of throw a wrench in people's scouting reports, or do you guys kind of just stay the course for the most part? We stay the course.
We're pretty, we've been, since I've been at Wayne, we've always played, I've been more of a zone guy, really, and I'm kind of the anomaly down on this end, really, a little bit. But we will play man if we deem it necessary. Coaches and I deem that necessary, and we'll be very multiple during the game if we need to be. If we get in something and we just feel like we're playing well defensively, we're obviously not going to change just for the sake of changing. But so no, we're not going to throw out the baby with the bathwater. We're going to go ahead and do what we do, and we'll try to do it as best we can, and see where that leads us. Yeah.
Your message now to some of these girls that may not have played on a state tournament floor as the size as what's inside the Charleston Coliseum. What do you say to them? Because obviously they're going to have a lot of nerves, but what do you say to those individuals?
I think we say this a lot within the program, and you say it going into all kinds of games and such. Me personally, I don't say a whole lot about it because going in there, you can make it more of a mental issue if you want to. But we've shot the ball well in there at times, and we've shot the ball horrible in there at times. I've been on both ends, 19% one year, and we led the state with 17 threes in there one year, so in one game. So it just is what it is. I don't think we just don't want to put a big, we don't want to make it more than what it is. It just is what it is. It's a 10-foot rim. It's a 10-foot rim, and it's the basketball's the same, and the three-point line's the same, and so we just got to treat it the same the best we can.
Now, obviously, we talked about Jace, but we'll talk about her a little bit more in a second. But just in regards to other girls stepping up, because everybody's going to be honing in on Jace.
Sure.
How do you go about trying to get those opportunities for the other 4 girls out on the floor with Jace? Because she'll get her shot, but now when they start closing in on her, dishing it out more, or is it just more of girls making open shots?
That's girls making open shots, and we've done a really good job of that this year. I think people really, we've seen a lot of boxing won for a long time this year, and but other kids stepped up. Lexi Blankenship steps up the other night and has 18 points against Logan, and she's that kind of kid for us that does just everything. I mean, she rebounds the ball. She's 5'4" maybe. That's giving her a break probably. And she rebounds the ball. She's an 8 rebound a game kid, and she gets steals and she gets assists and she scores and she makes a three, and she just does all those things that people really, if you ain't paying attention, you don't know, but if you're paying attention, it's like she's the glue kind of person. And then Megan Thompson has her three-point. She's been up and down a little bit, but her three-pointers have been, when she's shooting the ball well, we generally play pretty well.
Talk about a girl then. I mean, you mentioned two names right there, in Lexi and Megan as well. But in regards to other players that have stepped up for you guys, who's been someone that's really caught your eye and has really made that growth in their game?
Well, I think Megan's that person for us. But I mean, I'd be Maddie Dillon and J.C. Mills. J.C. Mills, she's had a couple games this year where she's been so good and she's been so consistent. And I don't really know that I don't know that even anybody, I didn't know that she would be that consistent over the year. I know she'd have flashes of games, but it's one thing to have a really good game from here and there, but it's another thing to be consistent over the time. That doesn't mean she scores, 18 a game or whatever, but she's had those games, but she's been real consistent from a defensive perspective, been real consistent from an investment perspective, and I think that's about all you can ask.
This Class AA field, we mentioned you all, Williamson Central Catholic is in this, Charleston Catholic is also back in it as well. Initial perception of this Class AA field?
Well, I mean, I think that we see it all the time. I mean, we talk about 4A, we talk about 3A, and we were in 3A for the last 3 years and 4 years, whatever, and it's so difficult there, and we knew all the battles there, but I think what you learn is, I think the people that went from 4A to 3A are learning the same thing this year, just like we are from 3A to 2A. Because it doesn't matter. It is the same. It's the same game, and maybe people aren't quite as deep. Maybe, I don't know, but they're still really good players, and those teams are very well coached. And I think that is something that get lost a little bit in the girls side of it a little bit is how well teams are coached. And maybe not Wayne, but other teams are coached very well. So I just, I think that people get slided a little bit on that.
Obviously, you guys went from 3A to 2A, and I'm curious from this perspective, because I don't think we've talked about it in this program, but in regards to the four-class system, how do you think that's transpired since its initial season just about 5-6 years ago? Well,
I mean, I think that they finally, man, that's a tough question.
We only ask tough questions.
It's a hard thing to. I think I like the four classification thing because I think you get people that are similar in size, and I think we finally got it right this past year. We could have made the case. We made the case around here for the last 4 years. We probably should have been AA. When there was, but because of this and that, we were AAA. So I think that it's worked out well for and I know it's worked out well for the state, and it's worked out well for some of the schools. But I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's obviously I think it's a win-win for everybody. Just to be honest with you.
Going back to Jace, obviously we've talked about her leadership and her growth in that standpoint. But on the court, what's different in her game that you've seen that's left you impressed with how she's grown?
From her freshman year? Or?
Yeah, just over the years.
That's a good question too. I mean, she has, her leadership for one thing is, and her maturity. Let's just say maturity. Her maturity. And that's what you expect, but her maturity is so high, not only on the court or in the gym, but it's in school and it's in the community, and the other things that she does around is so that's it kind of she's just a leader, and I think her leadership skills have really went up, and the basketball's been there, it's always been there, I think, and she works so hard at the game. And that's the thing that people don't understand. I mean, you can question whatever you want to, but listen, Caitlin Clark's great because she's in the gym all the time, and Jace is a good player because she's in the gym all the time, and that's things that you just can't. You can't coach those things. You can't coach that want to and that drive, and so that's just what makes her a cut above everybody else. Is just her mentality to be as good as she can be.
You mentioned Lexi, and she had some really big shots for you guys in last year's state tournament.
Absolutely.
But also having her complement Jace now, and also having played in the state tournament last season, the importance of that this season.
I think that was huge. Like, her ability last year to come into games and change games for us in little ways, because she was a different dynamic, and she was, it changed things the way we did stuff a little bit, whatever. For her to, we knew what we were getting. We always know what we're getting out of Lexi, and so she's just that kid that, she's. I said this in the paper the other day. She did what she did in the game the other day, and then I looked around after the game, and she was over there with a broom cleaning up some streamers. And so I said, she's the kind of kid who'll clean up the popcorn after the game too. So I just think that she's a high character kid too, and I for her to get in last year and have those things, I think that, and she never says anything. You can't hardly. I've been around her whole life, and she still won't talk to me. And so she is just that kid that just leads by example. And she's going to come in to give you an honest 2 hours, and she's going to turn around and go home, and she's not going to ever change her expression, and she's just as steady as it is. And I think that some of that leads the other kids to be calm at times, but very confident at times too. So,
2 more questions for you. You keep mentioning this leadership, whether it be with Lexi or Jace, but is that something that you guys are preaching consistently during practice, or is that just who they are? Because it seemed like last year too, you guys had some of those players as well, in the Atkins twins, Kayla Stacy as well. In regards to that, how do you kind of see that growing and develop within these girls?
I don't know. I think I don't know. We've just been lucky from my beginning, I guess, because I had some girls when we first got here and we first started making it to the tournament. Arrow Agnes was a great leader, and maybe the older kids just do a good job of fostering that as the kids get up there, and then it's their turn to do that, and that's what you want, obviously, or what I would like to believe anyway. We don't really talk a whole lot about the leadership part of it. I think they know who the leaders are, and they know that they have to lead. And maybe I've just gotten really lucky. I don't know. I'll take the luck. I'll take the luck.
Well, and finally, you mentioned the community side of things, and anybody that's seen you all, whether it be here at home or even at the state tournament, the outpouring of support that the Wayne community gives towards your all's programs is first to none, almost. I mean, talk about that and how beneficial it is to have a community that rallies behind you guys like that. Unreal.
If I could, I'll take a minute to go back 12 years. And my first game here, we were played Tug Valley in here, and once we paid the officials and the people that need to be paid after the game, we made $20 off our gate. And I told the principal, I said, we only made $20, and she said, well, that's great. At least you didn't go in the hole. And fast forward to now to where, the other day you couldn't hardly sit in the gym. You've had to stand in the corner or other things. And it's not like that all the time, but we generally have really, really good crowds. So it is, Wayne was, and I've just been super lucky, but Wayne was never on the map in basketball. We were always a baseball, football, softball school. And I think that the people in this community just wanted basketball to be good somehow for so long, that once we got to be pretty good and they could see that there was a lot of effort being put in by the kids and there was a lot of investment, they just kind of tagged on and they kind of jumped on the bandwagon as it is, and I think we see it, year in, year out now. It's awesome for us. It's awesome for the kids. It's awesome for me. It's awesome for everybody, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, good luck to you guys in your all's opening round game against Williamson Central Catholic, and hopefully we get to talk to you again soon.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. That's the head basketball coach of the Lady Wayne Pioneers, head coach Wade Williamson. Be sure to check out our coverage from now at the end of this week, plus the boys tournament next week by going to our website, wvgazettemail.com. We are actually offering a deal, 3 months for $3.99, so be sure to hop on that. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at Gaz Mail Sports, that's G-A-Z Mail Sports, and be sure to follow us on Facebook at HD Media Sports.